Hello everyone, welcome to another one of my sessions. In my last session, I talked about how we can collect metrics from vRealize Operations Manager using programmatically using Python and a Python client and REST APIs. In this session, I'm going to talk about the opposite of that. In this session, we are going to explore how we can push data into vRealize Operations Manager. Now, the use case that I had in mind, my colleague and friend Luciano Gomes asked me that he has a customer who wants to see in vRealize Operations Manager for each and every virtual machine a couple of information which is not available out of the box in vROps. So they wanted to see the creation date, the VM creation date, and uh, the host name inside the guest operating system of the virtual machines. Now these two informations are not available out of the box in vRealize Operations Manager. The guest host name is available if you have EPOps agent installed in it, but that is something we will have to go ahead and manually install the agent, and only for that information it doesn't make any sense. Say if you have thousands of virtual machine, you cannot push the agent into all of them. So the idea is to create two properties in a virtual machine. Normally if you go ahead and look the virtual machine, you have the metrics and then properties. So how we can see or add properties into a resource which is not there out of the box in vRealize Operations Manager. Now we can do that easily. We have REST APIs available for that. So for example, if I go to the REST API documentation for this vRealize Operations Manager, if I go to suite-api and we go to say documentation, we can see that there are a couple of APIs that's available. Like for example, add say properties. See, you see that this add properties method is available for you. API resources ID properties, or you can add stats and then add properties using push adapter kind. So you have all these APIs available. Now there are a couple of really excellent blogs available, available to us. Like for example, you have this blog, say vRaidmon, where by Pontus, who has given a pretty neat code written into Python, where he is just monitoring RAID status. So he has used this find create resource push data. What it is doing is actually creating a new resource, new adapter kind, and new resource kind key. Now I don't need to do that. I really don't want to do that. I already have the resource. I want to add properties or metrics to that particular resource. Similarly, I have something exactly doing that. An excellent blog by vman. So you can go ahead and check vman.ch. This is really excellent blog. He talks about step by step guide how we can go ahead and add custom properties into a virtual machine. But what he is doing is written a PowerShell script where he is doing everything by just calling out or doing REST API, direct REST API to the virtual vROps server. You know, doing just building XML file and just doing the invoke REST method. So all he is doing is invoking the REST method. But I wanted to explore Python's client that we have out of the box, and I wanted to check how easy or difficult it is doing in that way. You know, and there was this old method where we could push data into vCops using PowerShell and HTTP post adapter. There is this excellent blog by Josh Quinn. where he has shown how you can do that using PowerShell, and the same thing how you can do that using Python HTTP post adapter. But again, what he is doing is doing the REST API calls directly using the HTTP adapter. Now the HTTP post adapter is not very recent, and I would say in future probably will not see it. There's better way of doing it. So that is the reason I wanted to explore the Python client, and I will show you how easy it is to do it through Python clients. Now for that I want to utilize this add properties method that is available here, right? Using that I wanted to add properties. If I wanted to add numeric values, probably I would use the add stats. So I have a couple of scripts. The first thing is get vmdetails.ps1. This is a PowerShell script that my friend Luciano shared with me, because I started writing this use case, writing these scripts keeping his use case in mind. So he has shared this neat script which actually gathers the VM creation date uh, and the host name, and I have modified the script so that it would be store the data in JSON format, and then uh, I have my data push.py, which is actually reading that data.json file and getting the values from there. So first, what you need to do, I need to set up the environment because I want to automate the script. So I want to schedule it, so I cannot ask for the user ID password each and every time. So first you need to run get vcdetails.ps1. What it does, it asks for you for the vCenter server details, the user ID password. When you give that, it stores that value into two files. One is vcdetails.txt, which holds the vCenter server details. I have the samples here as well. So it shows the vc details.txt, which has the vc detail and the user id, and the password.txt saves the password in encrypted format. And then you run okay, and then you run get vmdetails.ps1, which takes that input and then generates the file data.json, which gives you the output of particular format, json format. After that, for the first time you need to set up this environment. Next time onwards you don't need to run get vcdetails.ps1, because this is just to set up your environment, to store your password. Then next time when you need to schedule it, you just use schedule the get vmdetails.ps1, so that it will get the information in a timely manner. And then you run for the first time set env.py. What it is going to do, it would ask you for the adapter kind and the resource kind and vROps server ID, server IP or FQDN, user ID and password, and it's going to store it into env.json, environment.json. It's going to store that those informations, and then when you run data push.py, it's going to push that data into vROps server. That's how it entirely works. So you need to run get vcdetails.ps1 and data push.py, set env.py for the first time to set up the environment. But later on you can simply run a scheduler to run get vmdetails.ps1 and data push.py. And since I am running PowerShell, so I have developed this entirely on Windows environment. But see, it's irrelevant where you get the data from. If you have data.json file, you can simply use it, consume it through data push.py and push the data into vROps. So the idea is though it's this script is for specific use case in mind, but idea is using the same script or same methods, you can push any data to vRealize operations manager. Here I'm creating properties. You can simply use add stats method to push or create metrics and then push the data there. So now let's see it in action. So I have these scripts in place. So first I would run the PowerShell environment. So I want to set VC details. So Okay, so set vc details.ps1, enter the vc server name, say this is my vcenter server, and then it asks you for the user id password, say admin, and then so you see that it stores the vc details into this file vcdetails.txt, which just stores the user id and vcenter server, and then the password is encrypted. It's just in encrypted format, right? So once you have that, you need to run the set environment. So we will run the get vm details. We want to run the get vm details. So it got data for vcenter server, got the password, and it will try to connect to vcenter server, and just getting the data, getting the information from the virtual machines or the virtual machines that you have in your environment. It will get the data from those virtual machines, right? So it had created the data.json file. Let's explore that file once. So I have the data.json file. So I have my data ready. So all I need to do is push this information to vROps server, right? So I have the json file ready, where it gives the created time and the name of the entity, the host name that inside the guest operating system, what's the name, and the timestamp, current timestamp where I want to push that data. So now I will go to python environment and then run python set environment. We need to first set the environment. So I'm just setting the environment. Say adapter kind is VMware, and then resource kind is virtual machine. You can use any of your resource kind of your of your requirement. You can use any other adapter kind as well. Then vROps server, user ID, and then the password, right? So this will create my environment.json file. If I open that, I can see that it has stored that adapter kind, the resource kind, the name of the server, and the password is stored in encrypted format again. Right now we will use this information to push the data to vROps server. So before we push the data, let's see the vRealize operations manager. Let's see for the virtual machines. I don't see any on under all properties. I don't see any such thing, uh, any custom resource or anything. Any of the virtual machines running or the virtual machines running or powered off. If I go into all properties, I don't see anything, right? And what we are trying to do here, I've just hard coded it for this use case. I'm just see if I go to data push.py. Okay. So I would create it under custom info and then creation date to particular resource that we are two particular properties that we are going to create under the resource creation date, and inside hyphen vm hyphen host name, and we want to categorize it under custom info, right? I easily could have done it under summary or any other tag, but I want to create separate tag there, right? So we will just go ahead and run this script. So python and then data push.py. So let's run this script. So it has the script has run. What it's trying to do, I will just explain the script here a bit. I'm just calling out add properties method. So all I'm doing is just connecting to vROps server and pushing the data into vROps using add properties method. Rest of them is abstracted. So Python client already handles that REST API calls. At the back end, the Nagini adapter, it's already doing that for me, doing that REST API calls and stuff. I'm just calling out the method and just passing out the properties. So I don't have to worry about the other direct REST API calls and stuff. So that is much easier for me. All I need to bother about and care about is my data. So once I have done that, let's go ahead and select check whether it has actually pushed the data into my environment. So let's check any of the virtual machines. I go to all properties. Probably I will give it some time to reflect the data. Yeah. So now if we go into all properties, I'm adding the properties. You see that a custom info group that was not there. Under that I have creation date and inside VM hostname. So if I go to creation date, I can see that it was created on 5/22/17, and then inside VM hostname, that is nsx edge 10. So the data that I had for routing DLR 0, so we can go ahead and actually check the data that we had in our environment. So we have routing DLR 0, the inside hostname was nsx edge 10, and the creation date was this. So for example, if we consider CentOS template, its host name should be unknown because the virtual machine is powered off, so it couldn't query. So if we go into CentOS template, yep, this one, so it should show me unknown as its host name. Right, let's close this too, and then inside VM hostname it should be unknown. See, it's unknown, so it pushed actually that data. So it's using these methods instead of creating properties. If I wanted to add statistics, so all I had to do is call out, instead of add properties, add stats. So how do you know what are the methods that's available to you? You can simply go to your methods.json JSON file. When you install Nagini adapter or Nagini client, you have this methods file. So you can go ahead and actually check what are the things what are the methods that's available for you. So actually you can go ahead and check into your REST API documentation. What are the methods available there? You search by this URI and go back here. You search by that and you see that okay, this is the method, add stats method, and you know what are the parameters that you need to pass and the template that in which it needs to be done. So that's how you can push data into vRealize operations manager. There is another thing that you can do is you can use find create, typically the way vRaid mon has done. So he has used this find create resource push data, but here you are pushing the whole lot of information, like you are creating new adapter kind, new resource kind, and say the resource name. But what I wanted to do is existing resource, I just want to push properties or say metric value, numeric value as a name metric value. So if I want to do numeric add numeric value, I would use add stats. Otherwise for text values I will use add properties. That is in the textual format. So what I can do, you can say import Nagini, and then what you can do, you can say help and then Nagini. It will show you help on that, and then under Nagini you have say help Nagini dot Nagini. It would show you on a broader level what are the things that's available to you, like find create resource push data, what are the parameter it text, or you can go to methods.json file and you can find out the details of all the methods that's available for you, right? That's how we will do. That's how we will push data into vROps. So you can actually use my scripts and customize it according to your requirement. All you need to do, just if you are doing it through Python, just remember that you actually go ahead and use the required method that we want to use. You either use add properties or add stats or any other methods to push data into vROps. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching and thank you for your feedbacks. Please do give me feedbacks.